Yes, once again, a great host. Welcome to Educate, and welcome to this session. In the previous session, we were talking about we're introducing the concept of evolution, biological evolution. We said basically, a biological evolution suggests that there were changes to the species that we see today. So basically, the life that we see today, the animals that we see today, they've evolved from other organisms. Okay. And now we are going to look at the different theories of evolution that we will find for grade 12. So the main theories of evolution that we are going to find were actually suggested by two scientists, which is Jean-Baptiste Lamarck. That is the first guy that you can see here. This is Lamarck. We just say he is Lamarck, but his full names are Jean-Baptiste de Lamarck. And then we have got Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin was one of the other greatest scientists who came up with the theory of evolution. So the theory that came up with Lamarck, we are going to call it Lamarckism. So we are going to call it Lamarckism. And then the theory that came up with Charles Darwin, we're going to call it natural selection. So it's known as natural selection. Or in some textbook, they can write something like Darwinism, but we usually like to refer to natural selection. Okay, so now we need to now understand, how did these people come up with theories of evolution, or what did they think for them to end up saying evolution happened this way? Because they were trying to explain the fact that all evidences were showing that life is not the way it looks like today. They were able to look at the fossils and they realized that the fossils from long ago, the bones and the skeletons of old animals or old species, are not the same as the ones that we have right now. So this means that there were other species before us, and these species evolved to become like us. Okay, so now let's look first at the theory of Lamarck. So basically, to explain these two theories, the theory of Lamarck as well as the theory of Charles Darwin, we usually use the example of giraffes. So basically, according to evolutionary evidence, giraffes had short necks. I'm sure you guys know giraffes. Giraffes are those animals that like to eat. They're the tall animals with tall necks, long necks, of course, and then they like eating the leaves that are found on top of trees. So basically, it is believed that the giraffes had short necks in the past. Yes, those giraffes that are having long necks right now, it is believed that they had short necks in the past. But now we want to try and explain this fact to say that the fact that our evidence shows us that giraffes had short necks, like giraffes, guys, the giraffe, just a normal giraffe, it had a short neck, but now it is a long neck. So Lamarck is now trying to explain why giraffes' necks grow bigger. Okay, so Lamarck tried to explain why giraffes have long necks by using the law of use and disuse, as well as the law of inheritance of acquired characteristics. So these are the two theories, or these are the two main constituents of Lamarckism. So these are the two main theories that were suggested by Lamarck, by Jean-Baptiste de Lamarck. Okay, so he was trying to explain, why do the giraffes have long necks? Because in the past, giraffes are believed that they had short necks. Okay, like the giraffes had short necks. So the law of use and disuse says that if a structure is used more often, that structure becomes bigger in the following generations. And similarly, if a structure is not being used, then the structure becomes smaller and might eventually disappear. Let's read this very carefully. So here, Lamarck was trying to explain how giraffes ended up having long necks, okay? Because basically, back in the past, if you look at this image here, or this figure here, let's just look at the first giraffe here. The first giraffe is very short. You can see that the neck of this giraffe is short. I'm sure you guys are able to notice that, right? But now, it is trying to reach the food that is on top of the trees. This is the tree here. I'm sure you guys can see that here. This is the tree, or this is the food. So Lamarck here suggested that for this giraffe to be able to reach the food that is found on top of the tree, it started stretching its neck. So it started stretching its neck, trying to reach the leaves on top of the tree. Okay. And the more it stretched its neck, the neck actually grew longer and it became longer and longer and longer. And the giraffe was able to now reach the food. And then the more the giraffe was stretching the neck became longer and longer and longer, such that the giraffe was able to reach the food on the top leaves, like on top of the tree. So Lamarck was actually trying to suggest that for an organism to change or for an organism to evolve, they need to use their organs more often. So if an organ is used more often, it becomes bigger, it becomes stronger, it becomes more efficient. When you state it, try to include those words. So if an organ or a structure is used more often, that structure becomes bigger, it becomes stronger. So it becomes bigger, it becomes stronger, and it becomes more efficient, or it becomes more useful. I don't know if you guys believe this, but maybe Lamarck was right at some point, maybe in some scenarios, but you wouldn't really say that's why giraffes ended up having long necks, okay? There are many things that you can criticize about this theory, okay? So Lamarck is saying that if we don't use certain organs more often, those organs are going to become smaller, because it says here, similarly, if a structure or if an organ, we're talking about a body part or an organ here, let's just replace the term structure with organ. So if a body organ is not used more often, that body organ will become smaller. So that is what he was saying, that if you do not use a certain organ more often, if you don't use a certain part of your body that much, then that part becomes smaller. It starts shrinking, becomes smaller, becomes shorter, becomes less efficient, and it becomes weak. And most of all, it might eventually disappear. A funny thought, okay? But basically, it is believed that snakes had legs in the past. Snakes had legs, but the snakes did not use their legs. That is why their legs disappeared. That is why snakes look the way they look like right now. I don't know if you guys believe that or not, but to Lamarck, it made sense, and he used this to explain many evidences, such as these giraffes. He used this to explain which giraffes had short necks, but the giraffes kept on stretching and stretching their necks so that they can be able to reach the food on top of the tree. So in an attempt to reach the food on top of the tree, the giraffes kept on stretching their necks and stretching and stretching and stretching them in such a way that their necks ended up becoming longer and longer and longer, because if an organ is used more often, that organ will become bigger, will become stronger, it will become longer, it will become more efficient. Okay, but if it is not used, it will eventually disappear. Yes, Sam?
So, say, like, I'm trying to understand that. So, this giraffe, it's a generational giraffe or it's a one giraffe, no?
Okay, so now we'll now bring the generational thing into this by introducing this other law, which is the law of inheritance of acquired characteristic. Okay, as for this particular image, I'm not sure the maker of the image, what was their intention per se, but basically Lamarck also explained that the offspring could inherit the characteristics acquired by the parent during its lifetime. So let's just say that this giraffe here, it was having a short neck, and it kept on stretching its neck, and the neck became longer and longer and longer and long. So now this giraffe, let's just say this is the giraffe after stretching and stretching and stretching. Let's just say this last image here, this is the giraffe after stretching and stretching and stretching and stretching its neck. Now that the giraffe has got a longer neck, when this giraffe makes a baby with another giraffe, maybe with another male giraffe, basically the baby will also have a longer neck. So basically the parent did not have a longer neck when it was born. Let me just say that this is the parent, like this parent giraffe. it had a shorter neck. Okay, you can see that it had a shorter neck here. It had a shorter neck, but because it kept on stretching, it actually grew its neck, and the neck became longer and longer and longer until it became so long. And after that, when this giraffe that is now having a long neck, the one that has stretched its neck, and it started becoming long, when it's going to make a baby with another giraffe, that giraffe, the offspring, will also have a longer neck. So Lamarck was trying to now explain that for generational purposes, the offspring would inherit the characteristics acquired by the parent during its lifetime. So basically, as I'm telling you, this parent, this giraffe here, it had a shorter neck, but it acquired a characteristic of having a longer neck by stretching and stretching and stretching and stretching. And according to the law of use and disuse, the neck stretched and it became long. So now Lamarck is now adding on top of this and saying, now that the giraffe has now a longer neck, it will now produce an offspring that will also have a longer neck. So Amayamas were trying to say that the offspring here, it is inheriting the characteristic of a longer neck from the what? From the parent. The parent did not have a longer neck, but the parent acquired that characteristic during its lifetime. How did the parent end up having that a longer neck? It was stretching and stretching, trying to reach for food. So Lamarck was able to conclude from here and say, now this giraffe would be able to make more generations that are having longer necks just because it was able to stretch its own neck during its lifetime. Okay, so for this image, you can say that this image is showing one giraffe as it is evolving according to the law of use and disuse. Now, the law of inheritance of acquired characteristics, it is the final law that Lamarck brought up and said, now that the giraffe has been able to stretch and stretch until it had a long neck, now the long neck will be a new characteristic that will be passed on to the next generation and next generation and next generation. That's why giraffes are having longer necks. Yes, Tandaza?
Can I ask, was this rule approved?
Well, it wasn't approved actually because it had many problems. Are you finding any problem with it?
Oh no, I was just curious if it was approved, Mama.
Okay, when in your own opinion, do you think that this can be true?
No.
Why not?
How can it be possible? Each giraffe, it just stretches the neck by just eyes, so it doesn't make sense.
Okay. Yeah, well, to Lamarck, it made sense. At least it made sense for him to say that if you continue using an organ, it becomes bigger and bigger. But sometimes there are things that you don't use as humans, but they don't disappear and stuff. Shelo, what do you think?
Ngiyasena ngibona wami 50% yahlash. Mina ngikubuza sewuthi so eventually i-giraffe iqale ingana umqala and then after that iyakhula while izama ukudonsa ukudla kwayo, and then eventually after umqala usumkhulu, and then kube khona le law of inheritance of acquired characteristics, which means ukuthi mase ngifuna ukubuza mase umqala usumkhulu, leyo characteristic izodluliswa to ingane yakhe. Generation ezayo se.
Impel, that's what the law of inheritance of acquired characteristic is saying. He's saying ukuthi njengoba manje your giraffe is now having a longer neck, that characteristic will now be passed on to the offspring.
So it's like
Yes.
It's like if I go to the gym and I start gymming, and then my child's gonna have muscles.
Well, that's what he's saying. That is what Lamarck is saying. I don't know. Tinhlelo, would you believe this?
There's no sad.
Say, according to me, say ilo yakhe kuyena yayi right, but kuthina as masibuka, I think ngoba thina sasingekho mhlambe when this law was invented, mhlambe sasingekho, but now masibuka ukuthi ngeke ayikholakala kodwa ngoba yena wayenza singayikholwa se.
Okay, let's just say with Asen's example, I think Tandaza made a very good example. If Tandaza goes to the gym and now she gets muscles, does it mean the baby will also have muscles? Come on. Okay, let's just say maybe one person gets into a car accident, God forbid, but one person gets into a car accident and then their leg gets chopped off. So it means that if the person will have a baby, the baby won't have a leg. It's kind of, you wouldn't really believe that, right? You wouldn't really believe Duty.
That's so bad.
Yeah, but see, that is what Lamarck, that is the theory that Lamarck was able to use. Since we already said that most of us are disagreeing with Lamarck's law, which is the law of use and disuse, as well as the law of inheritance of acquired characteristics, because it just does not make sense to us. If we acquire certain characteristics in our lifetime, then those characteristics will be passed on to our offspring. But to Lamarck, it made sense in such a way that he actually used these laws to explain why giraffes ended up having long necks. That is why modern giraffes have got long necks, but the older giraffes had short necks. And Nhlamulo was saying that he does not believe that snakes had legs. It's fine as well, Nhlamulo. It's fine if you don't believe that, but Lamarck used to believe that as well during his lifetime. Yes, Nhlamulo, what's your question?
Sir, okay, we're talking about this. Why was Lamarck's theory taken into consideration if it was not proven?
Well, yes, now comes back to the definition of theory and hypothesis. Okay, you can hear me, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now comes back to this thing of theory and hypothesis. Yes, of course, Lamarck's theory was a bit acceptable because it made a bit of sense at the time, but it was later rejected. So that is why it wasn't really considered a theory, but it's most like Lamarck only came up with the laws, the law of use and disuse, as well as the law of inheritance of acquired characteristics. So the scientific community, they actually review all the theories and all the hypotheses, and they try and test them. Okay, if the hypothesis fails the test, then they don't really consider it as an acceptable theory or as an acceptable fact. Okay, so that is why Lamarck's laws are just laws. They were not really considered to be big theories and advanced to other levels. Yes, Tandaza.
So if they ask us, why did they reject Lamarck's theory? What should we say?
Exactly, which brings us to this next slide. Why was Lamarck's theory dismissed, or why was Lamarck's theory rejected? Because basically the scientific community rejected Lamarck's theory. Okay, first of all, Lamarck's theory, it had suggested that evolution actually happened because organisms wanted it to happen. Because think about it, guys. Remember that Lamarck said that for you to be able to make an organ to become longer and longer and longer and longer, you need to use it more often. And if you don't use it, it becomes shorter. So it means that any change that you can do, you do it because you want to. Okay, so Lamarck's theory suggested that organisms were evolving because they wanted to. But in reality, when research was done, scientists were arguing the point that, so it means that if a human wanted to use their hand more, then their hand will become longer and then they will give birth to more humans with longer hands. That wouldn't really make sense, okay? Because that would suggest that evolution is a voluntary process. It is something that someone wants to do. And then the second reason, which is the most important one, there was no evidence, guys. There was no evidence that acquired characteristics can be inherited by the offspring. So the characteristics that were acquired by the parent during their lifetime, there was no evidence to prove that those characteristics can actually be inherited by the offspring. Because Lamarck was suggesting that once the parent has used their organ more oftenly and their organ is now big, or maybe they didn't use it and their organ has disappeared, then those characteristics, they will be transferred or they will be inherited by the offspring. But there was no evidence that actually that happens. Okay, when they did more experiments, they realized that most of the acquired characteristics by the parents, they don't really get to go to the offspring. If I stretch my hand and I make it bigger and bigger and bigger, that doesn't necessarily mean that my child will also have a bigger hand. If I change my head and the head changes to being a square shape, it doesn't mean that my child will also have a square shaped head. Okay. So there was no genetic evidence to prove that whenever you are implementing the law of use and disuse, that is going to change your genetic makeup. Remember, guys, that you guys did genetics. You now understand what makes up the physical characteristics. The chromosomes are not affected by how much you stretch your hand, by the way. So effectively, there was no enough evidence for them to actually say that the law of inheritance of these acquired characteristics would be inherited by the offspring. So there was no evidence that the characteristics that were acquired by the parent during their lifetime would be inherited by the offspring. As you guys have already said, that is why I asked you, first of all, do you believe this theory? And you guys were telling me to know. And the best example that I had was Tandaza's example when she said that if she goes to the gym and she grows some muscles, that doesn't mean that their child will also have some muscles. No, because the characteristics that she's acquiring, they are not part of her genetic makeup. It is just physical characteristics. They cannot be inherited by the offspring. So for these two reasons, Lamarck's theory was rejected. It suggested that organisms evolved because they wanted to. So it suggested that organisms could just change because they wanted to use their organs more often, or they wanted to use it less often. And then there was also no evidence to prove the second law, which was the law of inheritance of acquired characteristics. Are we guys together?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the scientific community continues to reject the Lamarck theory, the Lamarckism laws of evolution. But now there was one other person, which is Charles Darwin. As I already told you guys that we have got two pioneers in this.
Hey Lapo, I know that you've been enjoying this wonderful video and most likely you've been enjoying watching this handsome face in front of you, but sorry ladies, I'm taken. I just here to tell you that Educate is on the road to 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. So please click the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you get notifications whenever I post new videos. I want you guys to pass. Okay, so if you make my dream true, I reach 100k subscribers, I will make your dreams come true. I will even get you to varsity. I will get you with 7 distinctions. Yes.
We have got Lamarck as well as Charles Darwin. So Charles Darwin's theory of evolution was the one that was accepted by the scientific community, and hence it was considered to be a theory of evolution. Remember guys, for a hypothesis to become a theory, it has been tested and it has been proven, okay, that this is fact, all right? So now, natural selection was the theory of evolution that was suggested or proposed by Charles Darwin. So Charles Darwin, this mkhulu of yours, he's the one that came up with natural selection. He was also trying to explain the same scenario as Lamarck was explaining, the scenario of giraffes. The scenario of giraffes, guys, is the most important one because usually they ask it in the exam. it is the reference scenario that we usually use. But there are other scenarios, such as the snakes that had legs, such as all of that. But now the most common scenario, it is the giraffe scenarios. You need to understand them. Now, so for Charles Darwin to now explain the natural selection, how organisms evolved due to natural selection. So Charles Darwin suggested that there is a lot of variation among the offspring produced. So we have learned the concept of variation, that whenever organisms are reproducing, they actually they reproduce with genetic variation. Because we talked about the processes and the sources of variation, such as meiosis, such as the crossing over process, right? The random arrangement of chromosomes along the equator. We talked about all of that during our last session. So basically, Charles Darwin was suggesting that among the offspring that is being produced, there is a lot of variation. So the offspring is different. Okay, some of the offspring has got short necks, some of it has got long necks. I'm just referring to this scenario as an example, but here we are just explaining natural selection in general terms. We are describing what natural selection is. So we can say that Charles Darwin was just trying to suggest, this is the offspring of giraffes. Okay, let's just say these are 1, 2, 3, 4. These are 4 different giraffes. Okay, some of them, they have got short necks, like this first one. This one has got a short neck, but other ones, they've got a bit of longer necks. So there's variation. They are different from one another. That's why we say that there's a lot of variation among the offspring produced. So now we say that some offspring have got favorable characteristics, while other offspring do not have favorable characteristics. When you're talking about favorable characteristics, let's just use this example of, say, giraffes as a good reference point, right? You can see that this shorter giraffe, which is giraffe number 1, this one, if you look at this picture carefully, this shorter giraffe, which is giraffe number 1, it does not have the favorable characteristic because its neck is short. It cannot be able to reach the top of the tree. Remember, guys, this is no longer Lamarck's theory, whereby the giraffe can be able to stretch its neck. No, Charles Darwin did not agree to that. All right, Charles Darwin did not agree to the neck stretching and whatnot. But we have got offspring that is different. That's why we say that there's a lot of variation. There is offspring that has got short necks. There is offspring that has got long necks. So the one with long necks, we say that they've got a favorable characteristic because they're able to reach the top of the tree, right? Favorable simply means that the characteristic allows you to do what you're supposed to do. So the giraffe with a short neck, it cannot be able to get some food. So we can just say that this first giraffe, it has got an unfavorable characteristic. Okay. For this condition of getting food on top of the tree, it is not favored for this condition. But if you look at these other giraffes, the second giraffe has got a favorable characteristic because its neck is long. Okay. So he was explaining this using the concept of variation, because whenever meiosis is occurring before reproduction, you know that there are different types of gametes that are produced there. Indeed, those different types of gametes, they've got different characteristics. So let's just say these other 3 giraffes have got favorable characteristic of having a long neck. That is why they are able to eat. But the one with a shorter neck, it does not have a favorable characteristic. So now, Charles Darwin further says that when the environment changes or there is competition, it's either for food or for space or what. So when the environment changes, when it happens, maybe there is a harsh weather conditions that comes, but we are not going to apply that one on this scenario. But let's just say, you can see that here, these animals, they are competing for food, right? Let's just say that there's only one tree and these 4 giraffes have got these characteristics. We can say, guys, giraffe number 1, it will not be able to get the food because it has got a short neck. It has got an unfavorable characteristic. So when there is now a competition for food or for space and stuff like that, it cannot survive it does not have a favorable characteristic. It cannot survive the current condition. It cannot be able to get the food because it's got a shorter neck. That's why we say that it has got an unfavorable characteristic of having a shorter neck. Yes, ASM.
So this means the kind of giraffes that don't have a favorable characteristics, they will die. Then Xosalala and
Exactly. That is the natural selection. Oh, you can hear what Sam has already like summarized the entirety of the theory. Exactly that. Exactly. Clearly, we already say Sam has already said it. The one that is having a shorter neck, it cannot survive because there is competition there. It doesn't have the favorable characteristic for it to survive. Even if there is bad weather, let's just take another scenario. Maybe they give you a scenario of let's just take humans. Humans cannot survive in snow. Let's just say humans cannot survive in snow. Okay, some humans can survive in snow. Some humans cannot survive in snow. And I put you guys both in snow. The people that cannot survive in snow, they will die because they don't have the favorable characteristic to survive in snow. Okay? But the people that have got favorable characteristics, the ones that can survive in snow, they won't die and they'll continue living there forever and ever. And then now someone will come and ask themselves, why are these people living here? Now you explain it. You now say that whenever there's a change in the environment or there's a competition for food, the one with the favorable characteristics will survive. So the offspring with the characteristics or with the traits that make them better suited. Yeah, guys, use your own simple English here. Don't try to copy this exactly as it is. You can just say the offspring with the favorable characteristic, it will survive. The offspring with the favorable characteristic, it will survive because it is able to survive, right? For example, these giraffes are able to eat, like giraffe number 2, giraffe number 3, and giraffe number 4. They are able to get to the top of the tree and get some food and nutrition. But giraffe number 1, it cannot get that. So effectively, you can just say that giraffe number 1 will suffer from this. But giraffe number 2, giraffe number 3, giraffe number 4, they are able to get the food. So basically, they have a favorable characteristics. They will survive. But the organisms without the desired characteristic or without the favorable characteristic, they will die out. Yes, they will die because they will lack food and they will die of hunger. I mean, this giraffe number 1, as an example, guys, I'm using this giraffe example so that you understand the whole thing of natural selection. But when they just ask you in simple terms and say, describe the process of natural selection, they just want the process, guys. The general process, as I've written it here. Generally, you just tell them generally how natural selection occurs. But if they give you a specific scenario, maybe the scenario of giraffes, you have to explain and say, there are giraffes with shorter necks and some of them have got longer necks. Okay, but we'll navigate that as we do practice question papers with time. But you guys should understand this example that I'm giving you of giraffes, it is to try and explain how natural selection came to be. All right. So Charles Darwin realized that amongst those offspring, the ones with favorable characteristics, they will survive the bad weather conditions. They will survive competition. For example, these giraffes can be able to get the food because giraffe number 2, number 3, number 4, they've got long necks, but giraffe number 1 cannot get the food. So over time, giraffe number 1 will die of hunger. Even if giraffe number 1 does not die and it has got babies, those babies will remain with shorter necks and they will end up dying. They will end up dying out. They won't be able to survive. So the organisms without the desired characteristics will die out because they do not have anything to survive with. Are we clear on that, grade 12?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So now exactly as I'm saying, the organisms without the desired characteristic will die out. Hence, you can see that here, guys, just giraffe number 1, we are now taking it out of the system because it is not able to get what? It's not able to get the food. It does not have the favorable characteristic to survive this condition, to survive this environment, because nutrition plays a very big role in the survival of organisms. If organisms do not eat, they die. So the short-necked giraffe, the one with the short neck, which is giraffe number 1, it does not have a long neck, it has a short neck, it will die, finish, and glut. Even if it happens that it reproduces its babies, they won't be able to get food at the end of the day. And the entire population of giraffes with shorter necks will die out. Yes, Sam?
But somewhere, this theory, it's not true because we have short people and they don't die.
Well, people, it's not really an unfavorable characteristic to be short for people. People don't really need to eat food from the trees. Guys, I'm making an example for giraffes because giraffes need to eat the leaves from the trees high up there. But for people, it wouldn't apply because short people, they don't really need this. This is for giraffes, guys, not for people. All right. The example that I'm making is for you guys to understand how natural selection works, the idea of natural selection. But as for people, it wouldn't apply because short people don't really need to eat leaves from the trees. You kind of understand, Sam, why for people it's not the relevant example.
Yes, sir.
Yes, this is just for giraffes. Yeah, just want you guys to understand the idea, to get the idea of having a favorable trait and surviving with that trait. Yes, Matebula.
So if giraffes, if natural selection is not able to accommodate the giraffes, will they all go extinct or will they be extinct?
Yes, they will all go extinct. That is why some species, they don't exist today. Dinosaurs were believed to exist in the past, but they do not exist anymore. It's because of the conditions that they were subjected to and they could not survive. So there are other species that are being believed to have existed here on Earth, but they're no longer here because of the favorable characteristics. They did not have favorable characteristics. They all died out. But they have the organisms that we're able to see right now, they are there because they have survived. They do have the favorable characteristics to survive in these current conditions. Does that make sense, Mateo?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yeah. And then obviously the organisms that survive, they will reproduce. We already know, guys, that when you survive, you will reproduce. These are animals, guys. The nature always calls for reproduction, even for humans. It's just that humans sometimes we choose to not reproduce. I don't know, for our own reasons, but it's fine. But nature does call us to reproduce. So the organisms that survive, they reproduce, and then when they reproduce, they pass on the allele for the favorable characteristic to their offspring. I mean that if you can see that giraffe number 1 is already out of the equation, it has already died, its generation has already died. So giraffe number 2, giraffe number 3, and giraffe number 4, they are having the favorable characteristic. In this case, it is long necks. Yeah, their favorable characteristic in this case, it is long necks because they're able to get food from the top of the trees. So basically, these surviving giraffes, they will make some babies, and when they make some babies, they pass on the allele for the favorable characteristics to their offspring. So their offspring will have the characteristics such as the long necks, and they will also be able to survive. So we already know that the next generation of offspring will have a higher proportion of individuals. So it will have a higher proportion of higher amount of individuals with the new trait or characteristics, or with the favorable characteristic. That is why all giraffes, they are appearing to have long necks in the present day. It's because the giraffes with the short necks that were there in the past, they were extinct because they did not have the favorable characteristic of having long necks. But now the giraffes that we now have in this modern day are like this. Okay, millions of giraffes in the world, all of them, they're able to eat food from the top of the tree and they've got long necks. And that's how Charles Darwin explained the theory of evolution. That's Charles Darwin's version for the theory of evolution. So I don't know, guys, how would you comment on this? Which scientist would you say that they developed a more believable theory between Lamarck and Darwin? You can just account for your answer just for 5 minutes. Which one do you believe? Yes, Lelo.
Minasena, according to my understanding, in opinion, I believe in natural selection.
Okay. Just comment a bit
Because
why.
If we say la ama-giraffe lawa ine-neck encane, that means ngiyazakwazi ukuthola ukudla. If ungazi ukuthola ukudla, they will end up efa and then lawa akwazi ukuthola ukudla iwona akwazi ukuphila kakhulu. So yeah, understand yakhe se-theory le natural selection .
Okay, exactly. Anyone else wants to comment Lamarck versus Darwin? Let's hear there from Sam. Yes.
Semina, I will take Ega Lamarck under the experience of Khoisan because they had a flexible and long bodies because they didn't use their organs that much.
Hey, that's an approach. Lamarck, you still go with Lamarck after all of this, okay? Well, experiments have been done to disprove everything that Lamarck said, but experiments can still be done. If you can go into research, you can just go into biology. Just try to do biology at university level. Try to research more into it. You might find things that are interesting there. Yes, and Tlamulo.
So I didn't raise any hand, but I go with Charles Darwin because it makes more sense. If you don't have food, you'll die. So I think this one is more accurate. That one, no, I don't go with Lamarck.
Okay. And bear in mind, guys, this is not only applying to food. The food scenario is just for giraffes. It's an example that I did for giraffes so that you guys could understand. But they can give you different scenarios in the exam questions. Maybe they can give you the weather conditions. Maybe they'll say that a sudden heat wave came through and then the other animals with the favorable characteristics, they were able to survive the hot weather conditions, but others were not able to survive. And this happened. So this is not only limited to food alone, even weather conditions, but the idea is here. The one with the favorable characteristic for that particular condition given in the scenario for you guys, it will survive. In this case, our scenario was food. Yes, Tandaza. I think I saw your hand was up there.
So when I go with Darwin because it makes sense. Because yaga Lamarck, it doesn't make sense to see organisms just change just because they want to.
Oh yes, exactly. Yeah, these are the two theories of evolution that we have at hand. Now I want you guys to question yourself something. If this natural selection is happening, why isn't evolution visible in the present day? Like at a bigger scale, we don't really see things evolving anymore. We feel like everything looks the same now. It looks constant for long. Okay, so now you
please repeat the question.
Okay, it was not really a question, but I'm just giving you guys an idea of a scenario. Say that since guys we're in the modern day, you don't really see people evolving. People are just people the way they are. Animals just look the way they are. It doesn't look like there's any evolution that is taking place nowadays. And then now you ask yourself, Utai, this whole natural selection thing, is it not happening anymore? You ask yourself all of that, because all of what we are talking about here is in the past. It's like millions and millions of years ago. Okay, so that is what will lead us to the next theory, which is the theory of punctuated equilibrium. The theory of punctuated equilibrium. The theory of punctuated equilibrium is your task and your homework. You will do it on top of the activities that I sent you guys on that day. And tomorrow we're gonna do the punctuated equilibrium and also do speciation and practice questions as well for our half course night tomorrow. Okay? Yes. So it's your task, guys. Go and read about punctuated equilibrium. But as for today, I think we can close the session here. Anyone, if you guys have got any questions, please ask quick before our Zoom meeting cuts us out.